What's up, guys? It's Mickey, aka the Joker. I don't really have a lot on my mind as far as my vlog today. I do have a couple things to tell you, though. I mean me. I ended up going and getting my camera finally, my expensive camera. So now I'm gonna have a lot more footage from the gym again. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to get footage from the gym with a cell phone. I've tried different, tripods and mounts and stuff like that, and they just don't make anything good for cell phones. They do for smaller cell phones. I have a Galaxy Note 5, I think. I don't know. It's one of them big phones. It's like a computer. So yeah, they don't really make anything. Like the one that I did have, I had to stretch it out and bend it and all kinds of stuff. And then the tripod that I had, the way I had to turn the camera to make decent videos with it, wouldn't hold it. So I ended up having to balance it against a bag, and then when I wanted something out of my bag, I had to move the camera. It was just a pain. But I ended up going and getting my camera. So it's got the tripod. It's a really nice camera. So yeah, now I can get videos from the gym again. So that'll be pretty awesome. On my way to the gym right now, of course, it's shoulder day. So the only concern about the camera that I have is I ask all the questions that I can come up with. I read all the reviews, but it runs on AA batteries, which is like, I thought was kind of weird. I guess I don't understand why a camera that expensive runs on AA batteries. And I'm not, when I say expensive, I mean for me, there's cameras out there that are $700, $800, $1,000. Hey, what's up, guys? I got done with my workout probably, I don't know, maybe 2 hours ago. A lot of people showed up today. We did heavy shoulder stuff, quite a bit of shoulder stuff. Arms, did some arms, tricep stuff. I didn't really video a lot of the arm stuff. I mean, we've done arms. Everybody has their own way of doing arms. Heavy, tons of whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Simply pulling weight with your arms. I mean, a lot of people say different things about doing arms, whatever. We have lots of different arm exercises we do, so I don't really videotape a lot of controversial lifting. I don't videotape, whatever. Yeah, it's just some people showed up that I haven't seen in a while. I wanted to say hi. A couple of them didn't recognize me. I'm about 60 pounds heavier than I was when they knew me, so you know, it is what it is. One of the guys that I seen today, a good friend of mine, John, he's a bodybuilder. You know, I talked to him. I'd like to get him in a video. He's quite a, I don't even know what to say. I mean, he has a physique, a good physique. I mean, the dude's a beast. And when he's prepping for a show, he's got his stuff together. And he showed me a lot just in the few years that I've known him. He's shown me quite a bit. I can attribute quite a bit of muscle to some of the exercises John has shown me. So yeah, I'd like to get him into a video. I said something to him again today about it. He'd like to do it. He just has a schedule that's crazy. So we'll see. We'll get him in a video. And then I talked to one of the guys. You're gonna meet a guy. He's actually a manager at the gym. Good friend of mine. You'll see him in a couple videos here coming up pretty soon. He's gonna go do some of the ghost hunting stuff that we're gonna do. He knows a few places. He's gonna show us a few places. So pretty excited about that. Other than that, just gonna go home, get some food. Pretty hungry, pretty heavy workout. Shoulders are on fire. So yeah, I don't really have a lot. The camera, I took video at the gym with the camera, so we're gonna see. There's gonna be maybe a difference in the video quality. We'll see. My cell phone has good video quality. It has a good camera, but the camera should be better. It's definitely easier to use. It was really nice. I set it up on its tripod, set the angle, the zoom, was able to zoom out. The camera focuses itself. I don't have to worry about messing with that. It sets its own, like coloring, everything. It just does it all for me. And I push record, and it has its own subject focus, is what it's called. So it should be really good. We'll see if the angle that I used was good. We'll just see about the overall quality. Not sure about the microphone on it yet. It has a stereo microphone, so it should be good. But like I said, one of the biggest problems about recording at the gym is the music that they play. It's all copyrighted music, so again, I can't use the music. So the microphone, I'll be able to tell, like I'll listen to it, but when I put it up on YouTube, you guys won't be able to use it. You won't be able to hear the music. So the music you hear is stuff that I put in the video. So, but hopefully for video logging and stuff, it's going to be good. And I video log with my cell phone while I'm in my truck because of the rig that I have. And I have a pretty expensive rig in my truck. When I say it's an expensive rig, just to hold your cell phone, right? I mean, yeah, it doesn't cost a ton of money, but when you're just talking about holding your cell phone so that you can video record with it, it's expensive, okay? I mean, it's stupid. Like, you can't just set your cell phone somewhere and record, okay? It doesn't work that way. And you can't hold it and record unless you're not all there. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. So I have mine set, so all I got to do is just sit here and I can talk to you guys, and it's not cheap, and it holds my phone securely, so I don't have to worry about my phone freaking flying out and getting stuck underneath my pedal, or something stupid, or breaking. I mean, cell phones aren't cheap. So yeah, just to hold my cell phone. I mean, this thing is it's called a Bracketron, right? It's like a $40 freaking thing that I had to buy. So just to hold my damn cell phone. Either way, so yeah, I mean, things are getting better for me, and now I'm gonna do a lot more video logging, because I can actually take my camera with me. A few things that I noticed that I'd like to change on it: the camera strap is not very long, so I may want to get a better strap, and I may want to get some kind of protective sleeve or something to slide it up in when I'm not using it. And then if I'm going to do video logs outside, I'm thinking that the sleeve might want to be like rainproof, weather, waterproof, whatever you want to call it. So just things I'm thinking about. Something quick and easy I can throw over it in case it starts raining. Because right now, if I take it out and it starts raining, it's going to get wet. So, I mean, I guess I could always throw it up underneath like my coat or whatever I have on at the time. But yeah, just things I'm thinking about to make sure that I don't ruin it. And the view screen on it, like I set it down, because I record, and then I'm not gonna sit and post videos of 30 minutes of me doing the same exercise. I mean, I'll show you guys a couple sets or a set, and then I'm gonna cut the recording, and you guys don't care about me doing 50 reps with a side shoulder or something like that. So when I set it down, the view screen is kind of unprotected, like it doesn't flip around to protect it. So just things I need to think about protecting that view screen. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. A lot more money that I could invest in the camera, microphone, and I gotta see if the wind is gonna bother it. I don't know, we'll just see. So that's gonna be it for the video. I'm home, I'm gonna get my food, and I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is heavy bench, so that'll be fun. So yeah, see you guys tomorrow. My dog's waiting for me. So just remember, like I always say, if I end a video, everything I do is about brute strength. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.